Hi everybody, this is Miss Amy here, and we're going to do this fun art project together. It's a spring tree with a colorful background. We'll learn a little bit about positive and negative space. As you can see, that I use different colors. Here's one. There's one with some oranges and yellows, and there's one with some greens and yellows. So what you need for this project is some drawing paper, some white drawing paper, a pencil to draw your design with, some black Sharpie to outline your pencil with, some oil pastels, a paper towel, and a template. A template maybe cut out of an old cereal box, and you want it to be slightly smaller than your paper. So cut a little template that's maybe 1.5 inches smaller on all sides, all 4 sides, smaller than your paper. So to start, we're going to start with drawing our tree. You can draw with a pencil. I'm going to draw with a Sharpie so that it shows up better, but you can go ahead and draw with a pencil, and then you can trace over your pencil lines with a Sharpie after you're finished. So you're going to start at the bottom of your paper, and you're just going to draw a line going up and curve it off the paper whenever you want to have a branch there. Now I'm going to go on the other side as wide as you want your tree to be and do the same thing, except I'm going to make it maybe a little bit lower because I don't know of any tree that's perfectly shaped. It has all different variety of branches, different sizes. So then I'm going to take a parallel line, which is a line that runs next to another line without crossing over it. So I'm going to run a parallel line along here, but then I'm going to stop because that's going to be a branch. And then I'm going to draw another line up going off the paper. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to draw a parallel line and stop, and then draw a line going off my paper to the top. And now I'm going to draw another parallel line over on this side to this line. And then I'm going to stop and maybe draw a line up to the top. And then draw a parallel line down. And then draw another line parallel to the other branch. And then off to the top of my paper. And then draw another parallel line. And then parallel line that direction. Alright, now I have some great looking branches there. So now I'm going to, this is a spring tree. So I'm going to add, because we're in the spring season right now, so I'm just going to add some little flowers or tiny leaves. That's what trees look like in the spring. Their leaves aren't that big yet. They're just starting to come out. So and some trees have flowers, so you can just draw little flowers, little leaves, however you want on your tree. So I'm going to go ahead and just make some little flowers on my tree. Maybe add a few leaves, little leaves with flowers. You can do this however you like and add as many or as few as you want. This is a fun project that you could do for any season. You could make a winter tree by not adding any flowers or leaves. Or you could do a summer tree by adding lots of leaves. Or a fall tree by adding some colored leaves. But for this project, we are going to leave the tree black and white. We are not going to color our tree. The reason is, and I'll explain that why we're adding our flowers on, is the tree is the object of our artwork. And so the objects in our artwork are called take a positive space. It's the positive in our artwork. It's the object of what we're drawing. And the space around our object And in between, all that space around, behind, in between is called the negative space. So we're going to focus on coloring our negative space today and leaving our positive space uncolored. Normally when we make an artwork, we color in our positive space, or we color in our object and maybe leave our background blank and not color it in. But today we're going to color in our negative space. It looks really cool too. I like this project because of that. The black and white against that colored background looks very cool. Okay, so I've added quite a few flowers to my tree. Now I'm going to add some texture to my tree by just creating some uneven lines, and they do not have to be straight lines. Just some uneven lines, maybe a little knot in my wood, a little circle. I've had some students add little holes for like little animals that might live in the tree, like a bird or a squirrel. That's totally up to you what you would like to do, however you would like to do that. So I'm just going to add a few lines there. There, now we have our tree. So once you have traced all your pencil lines with Sharpie, you can erase those pencil lines. And then you're going to take your template and you're going to put it in the middle of your paper. Okay? It's okay if it's off to the side a little bit, if it doesn't have to be perfectly centered. Might make your picture look a little more unique. And we're going to trace around our template, but we're not going to trace over our tree because we want to make it look like it's behind our tree, like our tree is in front. So I'm going to just hold my template with one hand and draw with my other hand. So I'm going to trace along my template, but when I get to my tree, I'm going to stop. And I'm only going to trace where there's not part of my tree. So I'm going to come over here to the edge, come down here, stop when I get to my tree, and then continue on. So only draw up to your tree. If you accidentally draw over your tree, you can erase those lines. So if you're using a pencil, if you're not using a pencil, if you're using a Sharpie, you just got to be extra careful. And I just bumped mine, so here, just hold it, my hand, and then draw up this side. Stop when I get to my tree, and then continue. There. All right, so we're done with our template. Now the fun part of coloring in our negative space, or the space behind a tree. So you're going to get 3 colors and white. So white we're just going to set aside, we're going to use that later. So you pick out the 3 colors you would like for your picture. I'm going to go ahead and use a yellow again for my lightest color. I like the yellow, it kind of reminds me of spring. Spring's a little bit warm. And then this really pretty light green is going to be my medium color, because that definitely looks like a spring color. And then I'm going to use this pretty turquoise for my dark color. You could use pink and violet and purple like I did here, because that's my light, my medium, and my dark. Or you could use the same color, just 3 different shades. So you could use a light orange, a medium orange, and a dark orange if you would like. You could do it that way. It's totally up to you. So we're going to start with our lightest color first, and we're going to color in a bottom section of our background inside that rectangle we just traced on our picture. So you're going to use, with the Oil Pastel, I push down a little bit so I get a nice thick color, and I'm going to do short strokes close together so that it shows up. I get lots of nice color and not a lot of background showing through my Oil Pastel. I want to cover as much paper as possible. When you get close to your tree, just slow down and carefully color around your tree. And then when you just decide where you want to stop your light color, and it doesn't have to be in a straight line across. It can be jaggedy, it doesn't have to be straight. You just decide how you would like it. I'm getting this nice thick color of yellow. Looks very pretty, springy. Okay. And then I'm going to take my medium color and I'm going to go color the next section of my background. But I'm going to overlap my yellow a little bit because I want to hide any of that background. I don't want the background showing through, and it'll help start blending my two colors together. So I'm going to go ahead and just color over a little bit of that yellow, and I'm doing the same technique, short strokes or short little lines close together, and I'm pushing down a little bit so I get a nice thick color of that pretty green, that spring green color. All right, and then I'm going to get ready for my final color. I think I'll have a little bit more of this green because it's so pretty. Alright, now I'm going to add my dark turquoise color. And I'm going to color over my green just a little bit. And when I get close to my tree, I'm going to slow down so I don't color into my tree. This part, because it's where all the branches are, takes a little bit longer because you want to carefully color that area in. There, and then if you can't reach the other side, just turn your paper around. It's easier than trying to stretch your hand across. And oil pastels like to smear a little bit, so it helps prevent the smearing of your oil pastel too. And if you do happen to get some oil pastel outside of the lines, like maybe on the edge, you can go back later when you're done and even use a pencil eraser and it'll erase some of that oil pastel. We found that worked pretty good in one of our classes when we had someone smear quite a bit of their oil pastel accidentally. The eraser helped remove a lot of that. Love these colors together, they're so pretty. Alright, I'm almost finished with my last color. And then we'll get to the blending part. Alright, so I'm going to put my dark color away because I'm not going to need that one anymore. And I'm just going to have a white, my light color, and my medium color out. So now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to color over my light color on here, which was yellow. And I'm going to use short strokes close together and just color over all of my white. And yes, you're going to see a little bit of white, but it's going to blend with that yellow. It's going to lighten up your yellow a little bit, but it's also going to hide any paper showing through. It's going to make smooth out your oil pastel. And I'm even going up into the green just a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. But when you color one oil pastel on top of another, it blends them together and smooths it out, hides the paper showing through. Alright, now I'm going to take my light color, which was yellow, and I'm going to color over all of my green. And I'm going to color between the two colors so that they blend in. And I don't have that harsh line between my colors. And it's going to lighten up my green a little, but that's okay. It looks so good. Blends it together. All right. And then you want to take your medium color, which was, in my case, was green, and I'm going to color over all that turquoise color that I put at the top. And yes, it's going to cover, it's going to make it look a little bit green, but it's going to blend in and look so cool. Blend those colors together. Just be careful around your tree. But you'll see the background, any white paper showing through will get covered up. And you'll have a nice thick color that looks so pretty. I just like these colors together. I think they're so pretty together. Alright, when you're done doing that, you're going to grab some paper towel. And I have some right here. And I'm just going to take a piece of paper towel and I'm going to wrap it around my finger. And I'm just going to rub it over the yellow and blend that in a little bit more. And it helps get rid of those little pieces of oil pastel on your paper too. And blends those in. And it's okay if you get a little bit of green in there. It's okay. When you move to the next color, you want to get a clean spot of your paper towel. So I'm getting a clean part of my paper towel and I'm going to just rub that on here. And then on here, I'm going to rub on the green. And that just blends it a little bit more and makes it look really cool. And then I'm going to get clean paper towel and rub on the top part there. Just blends it a little more and gets rid of all those little bits of oil pastel that were on my paper. Okay, so you might have a bit more, you just can brush those off. A couple more steps to finish this off. You just want to take your black Sharpie again and trace over those lines, because sometimes when you're coloring, you color over your lines just a bit. Well, if you just trace over that with the black Sharpie, it just polishes it up and makes it look really nice and sharp. This will be the last step to your picture. Unless you need to erase some of the oil pastel that got on your white paper, you can just take a pencil eraser and erase that off of there. And this hides the little oil pastel that went over the edge a little bit. And it makes it look really good. And it's easier to turn your paper around and try to reach across your paper, especially with oil pastels. And you can do this on your tree too. If you colored over your tree on the lines a little bit, you can just trace over those and polish those up and make them look sharp again. I think I need to get some new Sharpies. I'm running out of ink. Alright, and I think I'm about finished there. And there you have it. Here, you can take a big eraser and erase some of the the edge of the little pastel that might have got on the edge of your paper. You can erase those off. Alright, and that's it. We have a beautiful finished spring tree. So I hope you enjoyed this project. Go ahead, you can feel free to email me a picture of your finished tree. I would love to see them. Thank you for joining me today. Bye-bye.